So hey, I've been thinking about this the whole time I'm reading it. It's over 400 pages. I would love an Eve Dallas book to be 400 pages. And I was thinking how much better this would be if it was an Eve Dallas book. Because, and it's a standalone. So that's another bummer against it. But anyway, this is the Do the Reads book series. I'm Christina, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy man stuff going on here. And, am I boring you? Uh, Smoke! Anyways, I was thinking of how much better this would be because it's an Eve Dallas. It would, if it was an Eve Dallas book. There is so much, family and interaction. So translate that to Eve Dallas's characters' interactions. Maybe Peabody and Eve and Rourke and Mavis and Leonardo and Nadine, and there's more characterization. There's more off time, and she's not solely focused on the case, and she's not entirely involved in the case herself. It's an external thing. It's not even her case, and it's just all right. Um, this it's for over 420 something pages. And like I said, I would prefer it to be an Eve Dallas book because there's so much extra in here, so much additional family stuff, so many interesting um characterization stuff. There's so much extra. And it's not really focused on the case. There's very, 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 very little police work, almost microscopically police work. And that's what is the negative side of this. If this was an Eve Dallas book, there would be much more in the police type situation, but it's not. There's very, 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 very little police, and most of its interaction with the family and with the two brothers. So, and there's so many characters to keep track of. And at first I was like, why am I keeping track of these people? It's a one standalone book. So you could technically only pay attention to like 4 people and you'd be done with it. But we've got Sloan, whose partner was Joel, and they stopped off at a convenience store because she had to use the restroom on the way home. And she walks into a robbery in progress, and the guy just shoots her. Doesn't give her a split second, just turns around and shoots her twice. So she has a life-altering experience. She's in the hospital. Her boyfriend dumps her. And they weren't really going to last anyway, but she really didn't have too much emotional attachment to the guy. And it's just, there's so much, I don't like Sloan very much, as she's the main character. And if it had been Eve, I would have liked her better. But she's not, she's just, I don't know. There was just something off about Sloan the whole time. Just totally off. Off, 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 off. So let's go back. So she's in the hospital and she just wants to get up and go. She's just had bullets and surgery and all this kind of stuff, and she's got to do all this stuff. And she's just been off, and she's just not herself. And she wants to get up and go, and she can't get up and go, and she's hurting herself and doing all this stuff. And she spends all this time in the hospital, and then she recovers. And then the doctor tells her she's got to take time, so she's going home to her folks' place. And her folks own a resort area with cabins where people come and stay in cabins and fish and do all this kind of stuff. And Elsie is her mom, Drea is her sister, Dean is her dad, Mop is the dog, and it's all the rest vacation community resort. And then we have Nash and Theo Littlefield, who are extremely wealthy individuals who decide we're going to leave the corporate world behind, and we're going to come here. We're going to buy this big house, and we're going to restore it, and then we're going to make the community. We are going to become licensed contractors, and we are going to do restorations and repairs and earn a living as contractors. We really don't need the money, so we can charge a little bit less for our patrons up here. Still be competitive, but we really don't need the money because we're a big business here. We're wealthy individuals. And then we have you know who the killers are the entire book. So there is no secret there. There is no secret about the killers. And then we have quite a few victims. And first Sloan, uh what you call it, she decides her a neighbor cop, a family friend who's a cop. They're the natural resources police. They police the forests and go against poachers and animal killers and make sure people have their fishing license and all that kind of stuff. And she went for the big city cop stuff, but now she's home and recuperating. And Travis, this old family friend, comes to her, and he's head of the natural resource police. And he says, "Hey, look, while you're home and recuperating, I just wanted to throw this out there. If you come join my department, you can get a promotion. You might not get it in the city because they've got more people, but we're a smaller place, and I know you're due for promotion, and I could do that for you. You could take the test here, and we could bring you in February because she was shot in like October." And she's home for November, December, and then she decides that's a really good idea, and she decides to buy a house. Her parents help her buy a house in the area, a small one, not too big. And then she doesn't even meet Nash. For many, many, many chapters. And she also has this thing. And I understand where she's coming from. I 100% know where she's coming from. Because I am looking for this right now myself. I am trying to figure out what's going to happen. I need something. I need something. I lost a big something last year. And I've been trying to get it. I will not get it back. That's been made clear to me. That it will not be coming back my way anytime, shape, or form. They've got someone else who's got more wherewithal financially to work fancier programs, computer programs that present a more cleaner, more sophisticated, more business-like thing than I had. So, they liked her stuff better, so that situation is gone from me. And I was doing some data entering, but that situation became uncomfortable, so I stopped that. So I need something. I need something. And she talks with her mom about it, and she says, I was so angry and upset. I had to tell my captain what happened. I thought maybe I could do some remote work, just background checks and that sort of thing, something. But he said basically, "See you next year," and that hurt. And Elsie pulled out a stool so she could walk around and ease Sloan ease down. I'm sure he thought he was doing the right thing, but it hurt. Yes, I needed a purpose. I had just, many, many years ago, I had lost my daughter, and I had lost my mother. And I needed my supervisor to say to me, "I need you to return to work." And she could not do that. She was very upset by what had happened to me and my circumstances, and she could not tell me she needed me. So I lost my purpose there. I've lost my purpose a couple times. And she says, "He said I was valued and he was all that, but it doesn't feel like it. I've been away for weeks now and everything's just running fine without me." See, that you need to be needed. You want to be needed, and it doesn't happen. The world goes on, and you feel lost and left out, and maybe some depression comes in because you need a purpose. You need something. He said I was valued and all that, but it doesn't feel like it. I've been away for weeks and everything's just fine without me. Did you want your department to fall apart? No, well, maybe a little. You don't? Who doesn't want to feel like they are needed? It's even essential. And you are, baby, but why would you feel that way right now? I feel useless, Mom. So what do I do? And she cut her hair off. And they fixed it and all that kind of stuff. But I know the feeling. Everybody needs a purpose. You need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You're supporting your family, or you're paying the bills, or there's this stuff going on in your life, and people need you. Your family needs you. There's a purpose there. Your kids need you. You have to go to work. You have to pay the bills. You have to do this. There's reasons. And she does not. I was talking about this before. Oh, when Travis comes to talk to her about the position, he calls it a chevron. Moving to the next step is calling. He called it. She needs her chevron. And when they said chevron, I immediately 100% thought of Stargate. Because when they dial the gate, they lock in the chevrons. And when the boys are in town, when Nash and Theo get into town, and they start putting out flyers, hey, we need work, we're contractors, we're reliable, blah, 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 blah. He runs into Drea. And Drea is Sloan's sister. And Theo and Drea start going out and falling in love. And Sloan still has not met Nash. Still has not met Nash. Page 164, chapter 12 is when she meets Nash. Her sister has been dating Theo for like well over a month, and she has never met the brother. And the victims are disappearing, and it's almost like the case is a backstory. And the front story is Sloan and her recovery and her family. And it's more family than there's. I don't even know if there's friends. It's just the immediate family in here. So I get her angst. She was injured. She was involved in a traumatic situation. Maybe some therapy would be good, but and she lost quite a bit of weight. So she's fighting her internal demons. She's trying to get back to life. She wants to do all this stuff, and she's mad because she can't do all this stuff yet. She has to heal first. She has a little minor setback, but ends up going over that, and she finally meets Nash, and they have a date or two, and she's like, "I will not sleep with you." And you know what she says? I do not have room for this in my life right now. I will not sleep with you. And literally the next chapter, they're in bed. And things move along with Nash and Sloan, and they end up getting really, really close. And after Theo and Drea have their situation, then Nash and Sloan, and the book just ends. And it's a standalone. Nora doesn't, as far as I know, she's not going to do a sequel or anything like that. But I was sitting there going, if this had been an Eve Dallas book, all this extra characters, and I could picture the reaction with interaction with Peabody and Mavis and Leonardo, and all this extra time, and Rourke and doing the case. But the police work was this big in here. And I think I wanted a little more police work. I wanted a little more involvement. I wanted it to be more than just a side note. And the victims being more than a side note. And the case being more than a side note. Most of this book was romance. And there wasn't much romance in it. It was just lots of characters and lots of involvement in the construction and lots of designing of houses. And it was. So it was a lot of family and dealing with family and dealing with the dogs and training of the dogs and construction of the changing of the bathroom and remodeling the kitchen and family and dinners and meals and stuff. And like I said, this much police work and this much with the bad guys. They were touched on. They got a page. So many pages. The bad guy got pages, and every so many pages, she worked on the case just a smidgen. I think I wanted more. I wanted the case to be a little bit bigger in the book. If this was an Eve Dallas book, the case would be about 75% and the personal would be about 25%. And then we'd have another 10% of character interaction. And I just wanted more. I wanted more because, and I usually don't read Nora. I read Eve, and I read only Eve, because I want the police work. I like the detective work. I like the character progression. I like the fact that it was a series. But there's a lot of family, a lot of characterizations, and a lot of stuff going on. Very, very little police work. Very, very little police work. Very little. She doesn't interact with anybody. Doesn't nothing. Doesn't go on looking for anybody. She does question a couple of people, but it's very, very small in the book. Most of the book is characterization and spending time with Nash, Andrea, and family, and her parents, and her support for her, and Joel, and all that kind of stuff. So it's more characters. It's very, very less police work. Very, 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 very minor. I was hoping for a little more equal status, but it wasn't. And I was thinking you could take quite a bit of this book and make it an Eve Dallas book. But add my Mavis and my Leonardo and Mavis and Nadine and Rourke and Somerset and Morris and Baxter and Trueheart and Feeney and all that kind of stuff. I needed more police work. I needed her being involved in it more instead of just being on the fringes. She didn't even very, very little talking with other police officers, and she wasn't really involved much at all. So I could have used a little bit more of that. So, anyways, it was a break from the Monica McCarthy books. I'm over those books completely. I've got a couple other little ones I'm gonna look into and see what happens. I've got a to be read pile. I did it the other day. But anyway, so here you go. Hidden Nature, Nora Roberts, this much police work, and this much characterization, and not really tug string hearts, not too much angst. The characters are just like, yeah, we're doomed. I love at first sight, no mushy stuff, none of that romantic character angst. I was glad not to see that. So, anyways, don't forget, Star Trek Next Generation Friday recaps or Voyager recaps. Saturday is JD Rob Day, and Sunday is unboxing and Flashback Monday. I could use this few ideas. Check out Flashback Monday for those, and my daily book reviews. Oh, and every night at 7:45 on the Daily Reads Book Series channel, we're talking Diana Gabaldon's Echo in the Bone, written in my own heart's blood. Go tell the bees that I'm gone. And if I finish Bees and the new book has come out, we'll start the new book. If the new book has not come out, we're going to go back and do Outlander. So have a good one.